The following is an audio recording of the World English Bible, British edition, with Deuterocanon. The Book of Judith, Chapter 1. In the 12th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, who reigned over the Assyrians in Nineveh, the great city, in the days of Arphaxad, who reigned over the Medes in Ecbatana, and built around Ecbatana walls of hewn stones, 3 cubits broad and 6 cubits long, and made the height of the wall 70 cubits, and its breadth 50 cubits, and set its towers at its gates 100 cubits high, and its breadth in the foundation was 60 cubits, and made its gates, even gates that were raised to the height of 70 cubits, and their breadth 40 cubits, for his mighty army to go out of, and the setting and array of his footmen. In those days King Nebuchadnezzar made war with King Arphaxad in the great plain. This plain is on the borders of Ragau. There came to meet him all that lived in the hill country, and all that lived by Euphrates, Tigris, and Hydaspes, and in the plain of Arioch, the king of the Elamaeans. Many nations of the son of Helod assembled themselves to the battle. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, sent to all who lived in Persia, and to all who lived westward, to those who lived in Cilicia, Damascus, Libanus, Anti-Libanus, and to all who lived along the seacoast, and to those amongst the nations that were of Carmel and Gilead, and to the higher Galilee and the great plain of Esdraelon, and to all who were in Samaria and its cities, and beyond Jordan to Jerusalem, Bethany, Chelus, Kadesh, the river of Egypt, Tahpanhes, Ramesses, and all the land of Goshen, until you come above Tanis and Memphis, and to all that lived in Egypt, until you come to the borders of Ethiopia. All those who lived in all the land made light of the commandment of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, and didn't go with him to the war, for they were not afraid of him, but he was before them as one man. They turned away his messengers from their presence without effect and with disgrace. And Nebuchadnezzar was exceedingly angry with all this land, and he swore by his throne and kingdom that he would surely be avenged upon all the coasts of Cilicia, Damascus, and Syria, that he would kill with his sword all the inhabitants of the land of Moab, the children of Ammon, all Judea, and all who were in Egypt, until you come to the borders of the 2 seas. And he set the battle in array with his army against King Arphaxad in the 17th year, and he prevailed in his battle, and turned to flight all the army of Arphaxad, with all his horses and all his chariots. He took possession of his cities. He came to Ecbatana and took the towers, plundered its streets, and turned its beauty into shame. He took Arphaxad in the mountains of Ragau, struck him through with his darts, and utterly destroyed him to this day. He returned with them to Nineveh, he and all his company of sundry nations, an exceedingly great multitude of men of war. There he took his ease and banqueted, he and his army, for 120 days. The Book of Judith, Chapter 2. In the 18th year, the 22nd day of the first month, there was talk in the house of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, that he should be avenged on all the land, even as he spoke. He called together all his servants and all his great men, and communicated with them his secret counsel. and with his own mouth recounted the wickedness of all the land. They decreed to destroy all flesh which didn't follow the word of his mouth. It came to pass, when he had ended his counsel, Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, called Holofernes, the chief captain of his army, who was second to himself, and said to him, "The great king, the Lord of all the earth, says, Behold, you shall go out from my presence, and take with you men who trust in their strength, to 120,000 footmen, and 12,000 horses with their riders. And you shall go out against all the west country, because they disobey the commandment of my mouth. You shall declare to them that they should prepare earth and water, because I will go out in my wrath against them, and will cover the whole face of the earth with the feet of my army, who will plunder them. Their slain will fill their valleys and brooks, and the river will be filled with their dead until it overflows. I will lead them as captives to the utmost parts of all the earth. But you shall go forth and take all their coasts for me first. If they will yield themselves to you, then you must reserve them for me until the day of their reproof. As for those who resist, your eye shall not spare, but you shall give them up to be slain and to be plundered in all your land. For as I live, and by the power of my kingdom, I have spoken, and I will do this with my hand. Moreover, you shall not transgress anything of the commandments of your Lord, but you shall surely accomplish them, as I have commanded you. You shall not defer to do them." So Holofernes went out from the presence of his Lord, and called all the governors, the captains, and officers of the army of Ashur. He counted chosen men for the battle, as his Lord had commanded him, to 120,000, with 12,000 archers on horseback. He arranged them as a great multitude is ordered for the war. He took camels, donkeys, and mules for their baggage, an exceedingly great multitude, and sheep, oxen, and goats without number for their provision, and a large supply of rations for every man, and a huge amount of gold and silver out of the king's house. He went out, he and all his army, on their journey, to go before King Nebuchadnezzar, and to cover all the face of the earth westward with their chariots, horsemen, and chosen footmen. A great company of various nations went out with them like locusts, and like the sand of the earth, for they could not be counted by reason of their multitude. And they departed out of Nineveh 3 days' journey towards the plain of Bechteleth, and encamped from Bechteleth near the mountain which is at the left hand of the upper Kilikia. And he took all his army, his footmen, horsemen, and chariots, and went away from there into the hill country, and destroyed Put and Lud, and plundered all the children of Rasis and the children of Ishmael, which were along the wilderness to the south of the land of the Chellians. And he went over Euphrates, and went through Mesopotamia, and broke down all the high cities that were upon the river Arbonai, until you come to the sea. And he took possession of the borders of Kilikia, and killed all who resisted him. And came to the borders of Japheth, which were towards the south, opposite Arabia. He surrounded all the children of Midian, and set their tents on fire, and plundered their sheepfolds. He went down into the plain of Damascus in the days of wheat harvest, and set all their fields on fire, and utterly destroyed their flocks and herds, plundered their cities,